Hello racing fans. On the weekend of the 7th to 9th of March 2024, F1 Academy saw the maiden round of its second season. Taking place in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, qualification took place on the Thursday, with race 1 on the Friday and race 2 on the Saturday. The 6.1 kilometre track was the longest on the calendar. The wildcard for this event was Rima Jafali, a former driver in the Formula 4 UAE Championship, F4 British Championship and GB3 Championship, driving in the number 18 car under Prema Racing with support from Mura. Some housekeeping. For much of the season, Jessica Edgar was supported by American Express, as previously stated, but in the first round she drove under the F1 Academy livery. To the round! Qualifying was largely uneventful. Amna Alcabazi and Bianca Bustamante both cut a corner, but it was Leah Block who had her lap 12 time deleted for track limits violations at the pit entry. At one point, Maya Verg went from the pit to second on grid, which seemed to light a fire under Abby Pulling. Otherwise, there were no major incidents, which is always good to see. The grid for race 1 was based on the fastest qualification lap for each driver, resulting in Dorian Pan, P1, Abby Pulling, P2, Maya Verg, P3, Nerea Marti, P4, Bianca Bustamante, P5, Lola Lovinfoss, P6, Leah Block, P7, Chloe Chambers, P8, Aurelia Nobles, P9, Jessica Edgar, P10, Tina Hausman, P11, Carrie Schreiner, P12, Hamda Alqubazi, P13, Rima Jafali, P14, Amna Alcabazi, P15, and Emily de Hoyce, P16. The 12-lap race 1 took place, very appropriately, on International Women's Day. At the start of the formation lap, Bustamante seemed to have trouble getting off the line. She joined the pack after a short while, and a second formation lap was decided upon by race officials, allowing her to catch back up and for everyone to get some good heat into their tyres and brakes. In lap 1, Pan takes an early lead, with Pulling and Verg following behind. Bustamante cuts the corner on turn 5 due to contact with Chambers. The race opens up and Marty finds a comfortable 4th position. Edgar and Hausman play an intense game of cat and mouse, swapping positions as the lap progresses. Chambers makes many attempts to overtake Bustamante, but Bustamante keeps her defense strong and doesn't let Chambers through. In lap 2, Bustamante and Chambers both cut turn 5. Bustamante, however, is told to box for damage she received for her collision. Pan builds a 1.305 second lead on Pulling, while the top 3 have nearly 3 seconds on the rest of the pack. Lap 3 starts with Hausman trying to overtake Nobles, giving Edgar space to cleanly overtake both on the inside. Hausman keeps the pressure on though. At turn 1, Chambers overtakes Bustamante, but loses the place when Bustamante leaves the track at turn 2 and gains advantage. Hausman finally gets the upper hand on Nobles at turn 4, while Amna Alcabazi collides with Jafali in turn 5, causing the wildcard to spin out and allowing de Hoyce to take P14. A yellow flag is waved in sector 1 as they collect Amna's front wing and Jafali collects herself, before rejoining the race. At this point, a safety car is called to ensure the safe collection of debris. If you're not so familiar with Formula Racing series cars are not allowed to overtake under safety car, which leads to the pack bunching up again. Pan scores fastest lap. Lap 4 sees Amna pitting to get a new nose and rejoining the race over a minute and a half behind the rest of the drivers. Jafali rejoins after some work in the pit as the safety car ends. Pan holds the restart until the exit of turn 27 and catches the rest of the drivers by surprise, building a commanding lead. In lap 5, Pulling goes wide in turn 1. Verg tries to capitalise on the opportunity, but Pulling defends. Nobles locks up at turn 9 and leaves the track. The Amna Jafali collision is set to be investigated after the race. Lap 6 passes very uneventfully until turn 27, where Hausman tries to overtake Block, but Edgar takes the chance to overtake both. Block manages to regain the position from Edgar on the home straight. Pan takes fastest lap again as they go into lap 7. Edgar starts lap 7, needing to pit after a collision with Hausman punctured her rear right tyre. At turn 13, Pan led Pulling by almost a second. Hamda Alcabazi is less than a tenth of a second behind Nobles and applies pressure on the outside of turn 13, but Nobles pushes through on the inside with a beautiful defence and holds position. Bustamante is given a black and white flag for track limits violations at the start of lap 8. Nobles runs wide at turn 22, and Hamda, Nobles and Schreiner are 3 abreast going into lap 9. Pan takes fastest lap yet again. Hamda leaves the track at turn 2 and takes advantage from Nobles Nobles. She is driving defensively and refuses to give it back until turn 13, narrowly avoiding penalty. Nobles spends lap 10 holding onto the final point position with Hamda right up her tailpipe. Pulling has closed the gap to Pan to less than a second, while Verg has reduced the gap to P2 down to 4.5 seconds. Pulling takes fastest lap. A yellow flag is called in sector 1 of lap 11 after Block hits a bump and spins off into a wall, causing damage to her rear wing. She gets back in the race but is down to P16. Marty is taken out of the race in turn 1 of the final lap after Lovenfoss clips her back wheel. Pulling tries to close the gap and ultimately holds on to fastest lap. Final positions and points at the end of race 1 are Pan with 27 points, Pulling with 19, Verg with 15, Chambers with 12, Bustamante with 10, Houseman with 8, Nobles with 6, Lovenfoss with 5, Hamda with 2, Schreiner with 1, and Jafali, De Huys, Amner, Marty, Edgar and Block bringing up the bottom of the standings. Race 2, with its 13 laps, took place the next day with beautiful weather and only one formation lap. Block receives a 5-second penalty for a false start. The grid for race 2 was based on the second fastest qualification lap for each driver, resulting in Pan P1, Pulling P2, Verg P3, Lovenfoss P4, Marty P5, Chambers in P6, Houseman P7, Nobles P8, Edgar P9, Bustamante P10, Schreiner P11, Hamda P12, Block P13, Amner P14, Jafali P15 and De Huys in P16. As the lights go off, Pan makes a flawless start off the line while Pulling and Verg keep up and fall in behind her. Chambers cuts turn 2 and gains advantage on Lovenfoss. She receives a 5-second penalty. Marty makes an attempt on Lovenfoss in turn 2 and they end up neck and neck. She ends up in P4 after Marty and Chambers cut turn 5. Marty builds a comfortable lead while Chambers and Lovenfoss end up side by side in turn 6 before Chambers pulls ahead out of turn 7 and runs wide and leaves the track. At turn 17, a battle breaks out between Nobles and Bustamante that pulls in Houseman by turn 23. Through turn 25, we get 2 simultaneous attacks from Amner, taking Houseman and Schreiner, while Block takes Hamda. In lap 2, Pan and Pulling have over 2 seconds of advantage on Verg out of turn 8. It seems that Pan, Pulling, Verg and Marty are in their own race ahead of the pack. Lap 3 sees Lovenfoss overtake and then collide with Chambers, causing Lovenfoss to spin out, resulting in a 10-second penalty for Chambers. As Lovenfoss tries to get back on track, however, she hits Block, which brings a yellow flag in sector 1, a safety car, and a 5-position grid penalty for Lovenfoss. Block manages to get going again, but needs a new nose and front wing. She makes her way to the pit. Under safety car, the lead that the top 4 have built is pulled back as the pack closes up, although Houseman pits due to an apparent technical issue. The green flag is waved at turn 25 of lap 4 and Pan restarts out of turn 27. The pack is ready this time and keeps close behind. Lap 5 sees Lovenfoss retiring from the race. In turn 1 of lap 6, Amner and Schreiner are putting pressure on Bustamante, who cuts turn 2 and receives a 5-second penalty. At turn 4, Schreiner spins out and, in an attempt to miss her, Jafali crashes into the wall, damaging her nose, but she does get the car moving again. Another yellow flag in sector 1 and another safety car causes the pack to once again bunch up, depriving Pan, Pulling and Verg from capitalising on the lead they have built. Schreiner rejoins the race but is 32 seconds behind the rest of the group. Lap 7 is entirely under safety car, which gives Houseman chance to catch up after she exits the pit lane. In lap 8, Block gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Before she can restart lap 9, Pan gets a radio message from her team telling her to try a different method this time, only to then be informed that the message was broadcast, so she should use her own judgment. She ends up restarting out of turn 27 again, with the rest of the drivers keeping up with her down the home straight. Lap 10 sees a collision between De Huys and Nobles, which leaves Nobles without a back wing and De Huys with a 10-second penalty. Bustamante takes turn 12 very shallow and manages to sneak down the inside of Hamda through turn 13. Laps 11 and 12 are very eventless, although Pan gets fastest lap for 10 and 11. Pan gets fastest lap for 12, but Pulling takes it away immediately, with Pan ultimately ending up with the fastest lap for the race. This should be where the race ends. Unfortunately, no one congratulates Pan for winning, and the checkered flag is waved behind an electronic sign, resulting in a very tunnel vision Pan doing an extra lap and taking the checkered flag twice, as well as a red flag. She ended up with a 20-second penalty. All in all, the total of penalties for the race is 1 minute and 5 grid positions. While Pan is on the top step of the podium, she ends in P9 in the standings for the race, resulting in Pulling 25 points, Verg 18 points, Marty 15 points, Edgar 12 points, Hamda 10 points, Bustamante 8 points, Schreiner 6 points, Amner 4 points, Pan 5 points, Chambers 1 point, and Block Block, De Huys, Houseman, Nobles, Jafali and Lovinfoss rounding out the table, leaving our season standing so far looking like Abby Pulling 44, Maya Verg 33, Dorian Pan 32, Bianca Bustamante 18, Nerea Marti 15, Chloe Chambers 13, Jessica Edgar 12, Hamda Alkobezi 12, Tina Houseman 8, Carrie Schreiner 7, Aurelia Nobles 6, Lola Lovinfoss 4, Amna Alkobezi 4, Leah Block 0, and Emily De Huys 0. It's still anyone's game at this point in proceedings. There's still plenty of points up for grabs, so join us next time when we take a look at round 2 in Miami. Thank you very much for your time watching this video. Good night.